Ambrosius began a campaign to drive the barbarians from the east back, but by 517 there was a new king of the Britons, Arthur.
If Arthur was Dux Bellorum around 517, as the Easter Annals suggest, then it is extremely likely that his home base was here, on Tintagel Island.
Geoffrey of Monmouth, writing in 1132, described Tintagel as where Arthur was born and raised.
The description of the Dark Age settlement of Tintagel provided by Geoffrey was shown by recent excavations to be unusually accurate. Geoffrey visited Tintagel in 1120, and none of these buildings would have been visible at the time. If Geoffrey was right about Tintagel, was he also right about King Arthur?
This evidence comes from the right kingdom, the right royal stronghold, the right social class, and the right time for Arthur. The discovery of the Arthnew stone brought further attention to the fact that in the 6th century Tintagel was a very high status royal household from which a dynasty of literate kings ruled the whole of Dumnonia.
Although Tintagel may not have been Camelot, it is possible that the story of the Round Table had its origins here. Arthur would invite his Celtic chieftains to Tintagel to offer them luxury goods in exchange for help in fighting battles. The Round Table became a metaphor for fair trade between Arthur and his Celtic chieftains. Battles in the Dark Ages were usually fought at the ford or crossing of a river. This is Salisbury Hill, where the River Avon is crossed by the Roman road Fosse Way. It is at this location which is the most likely place for the Battle of Badon.
It is very difficult to say exactly how the Battle of Badon was fought. Perhaps the Celtic heroes faced the Saxons in single combat. King Arthur with his great sword single-handedly slaying the finest Saxon warriors of the age. Perhaps an infantry force of Celts marched in formation down Mount Badon, whilst cavalry units terrorised the Saxon flanks of Northern Down. Arthur became the most renowned hero of his age after winning this great conflict, and a change came over Britain as a result. The Saxons were now confined to the east.
Badon was the biggest victory the British had against the invaders. According to the writer Gildas, there was a period of peace with the Saxons that lasted 20 years afterwards. Now Arthur's role would change to that of peacekeeper within the warring factions of Britain itself.
Britain was rich in kings. Each had their own ideas for how Britain should be led, and few could come to any agreements. For 22 years, there was a golden age of peace, stability, and justice. Arthur and his court visited the 17 known kingdoms of Britain, solving border disputes, bringing justice to brigands, and attempting to cement the alliance that had been formed before the Battle of Badon. But alas, this period of peace was not to last. The ruthless Maelgwyn, having murdered his uncle to become king, seized the throne of the kingdom of Gwynedd in North Wales and started a rebellion against the High King.
As Arthur's army rode north to Gwynedd, Maelgwyn's men were waiting for them. This is the most likely location for the Battle of Camlan, where the River Gamlan flows into the River Mauddach.
The Easter Annals tell us that Arthur was either killed or mortally wounded in the battle with Maelgwyn. This is likely because in the following years, civil war broke out again in Britain, and chaos reigned as Maelgwyn took the title Dux Bellorum. In the Dark Ages, Glastonbury was surrounded by marshes which would flood and freeze in the winter. This would have given it the appearance of an island. Some believe that Arthur's body was buried in Glastonbury, which may have been the Dark Age Isle of Avalon.